crack of dawn, we receive our portion of 24 hours. Each human soul has had that gift in his dawn. From the earliest times of Christian history, the dawn has been feasted with the chant of the Benedictus, sometimes actually even with incense on great feasts. In the old monasteries, at that time or a little later, the sun does break through the east window. Christ, the rising sun. At one abbey I know, during the chant of the Benedictus each morning, the huge church bell goes out, celebrating the dawn, the gift of light. In one of the tombs at the Somme in Flanders, there is this cryptic inscription, words to the effect of, "I will think of Geraldine as long as I have light." Darkness comes at the moment of death, at least for the ears and eyes of the flesh. What is heard and seen afterwards is a mystery. The darkness of the beyond is thought about at this time of year, just behind me at New Grange. At the solstice, the cracking of dawn is something quite dramatic. The harmony in time and space, the order of creation is captured when a ray of rising sun comes through the perfectly constructed channel and hits the wall where in ancient times the ashes of the dead were waiting for ignition so as to be free. That was the most powerful thing they had, the sun. We have the Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun, of which this canticle is a preparation, sung in East and West, actually even in the Anglican Communion. It feasts from day to day the joy of existence, which perhaps we take for granted. In the Hebrew mode, one thinks of the way that the Lord used it at the Last Supper. He would have looked up to heaven, as he would have when he multiplied the bread, and would have said, "Blessed are you." That's the way it was done. And we have that prayer in the offertory. One looks up, actually in this place very much so, to the clouds. And it is beautiful to celebrate the sacred mysteries facing the rising sun, as in an old monastery at the high altar. We did that at the monastery in Italy, and we had the same experience of one more free gift as our fathers who had built that church in the Middle Ages. And indeed, it was founded in 781, so much prayer was there, but the same rising sun, the same gift of 24 hours only. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. Take no thought for the morrow will take thought itself. The Hebrew language, which is preserved even in the Greek as regards its tonality, its concreteness, its poetic nature, is still there. At Selignac, the Carthusian house, after a year, we were allowed information to extinguish the light next to us so that it was in the dark. And so it was in the dark. My father was quite moved by the moments of dark with a chant going on at midnight. And so, in the dark, One praises the light. This visitation is typically Hebrew. We are visited right now by the grace of the present moment. The Lord is knocking. Are we present? Horn of salvation, typical Hebrew language, cornus salutis, as are these viscera, misericordiae Dei nostri, the bowels, the entrails of the mercy of our God, the tender mercy. Hebrew expresses an abstract concept very physically. Actually, strangely enough, it's still there in the French translation of the Ave Maria. Jesus, le fruit de vos entrailles est béni. Jesus, the fruit of your entrails, of your womb, is blessed. But the rachamim, these entrails in Hebrew, were the organ of tenderness. We felt things, and St. Paul uses it. If there are any entrails in Christ, if there are any bowels of compassion in Christ, I implore you, and on he goes. And then this light coming from knowledge, which will take us out of the shadow of death and guide our feet, concrete, to the way of peace, the shalom, that Hebrew concept of order. All is in harmony. The return to Eden. We do well to pause before that rising sun. Recently, the whole world has been looking towards Jupiter and Saturn in this phenomenon which is extremely rare in human history. Very close, so as to form, as it were, one star, as it were, the star of Bethlehem. What does one see? What our fathers saw. The sky reminds us of passing time and things that don't pass. The flight of the soul at the moment of death. Our fathers here in Newgrange did their best with the ungraced bits that they had. They hoped that they would get somewhere after death. We have more. We forget actually what it was to go through life not knowing. We know because he came and showed us and told us. Woe betide the self-sufficient soul that thinks it knows more than the one who made it. Santa Claus is one thing, the Alpha and the Omega, who will actually judge on his terms, is quite another. And no matter what we say at our funerals, he judges. So it matters that at Christmas time we thank the Lord for the way and do not try to improve upon it by what is become popular thinking. O come, Emmanuel, and ransom captive Israel, that mourns in lonely exile here, until the Son of God appear. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O